Hello there, and welcome to John and Louise Do Life.
Hi everybody, good to see you all. We're welcoming you into our kitchen this week because we foolishly thought we would do some cooking.
What could possibly go wrong? Nothing.
So what we're going to make is some mince pies with a meringue top, and we stole the recipe from our youth leader actually when we were teenagers, Leslie. So thank you, Les, for giving us your recipe. And
we met in a house, didn't we?
We did, actually, yeah.
Louise was 15 and, well,
you were considerably older.
I was considerably older,
yes,
and my life has never been the same since, has it?
For all the right reasons. Anyway.
Enough cheese, move on.
Yeah, enough cheese. We're going to make pastry from scratch, so you need 8 ounces of plain flour. I'm doing it in ounces because I always do. And you need 4 ounces of butter. This is quite hard and cold. If you chop it into lumps, it takes ages to rub into the pastry, so I normally just grate it. It ends up looking like really yummy cheddar cheese, but it's so much better to rub in. And whilst I do the rubbing in, John's going to show you how to make the meringue bit, aren't you, babe?
Yeah, this is where it all goes horribly wrong.
It's going to be fine. Keep going, no one knows.
Right, what I'm going to do is take 1 egg and separate the yolk from the white and put the white in there and whisk the white. So let's see if we can actually manage to do that.
Do you remember when we did those scones, jam and cream at
church? At church, I waved the knife around everywhere.
Yeah, you did. You kept waving a knife at everybody, threatening them.
Well, I wasn't quite that bad.
But our kids did think we were hipster parents that day,
yes.
So it was all right.
Yeah. Well, as you do that, you tell them about the last time that you did a cooking video.
Oh, that was the first and last time. Yeah, it was. I did a pavlova on a YouTube video because I like making pavlovas and everybody likes eating them. And we've got an oven that is a grill and an oven at the same time. And unfortunately, I put the grill on instead of the oven and grilled the pavlova and just burnt the whole thing. Never mind, so I had to make it go. Anyway, how are you doing?
I'm ready here. Well, I'm going to make some noises in a minute.
Okay, so I'll keep rubbing in the pastry and make it into a dough with some room temperature water. And you're going to whip up the meringue.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst we're doing that, here is an interview that I did with Louise Key, who is a worship leader and songwriter from Exeter. And she's the person that wrote the song to Emmanuel, which we listened to at church a couple of weeks ago. So I hope you enjoy this.
See you in a minute.
So we are joined today with Louise Key, who is a worship leader in Exeter. And she's responsible for that beautiful song, Emmanuel, which we played in our church on Sunday. So welcome, Louise. Thank you ever so much for your time this evening. I just wanted to ask you a few questions because lockdown has been really tough for lots and lots of people. How long have you been writing and playing music?
Well, I tell you what, I'll start when I was very young. We had a grand piano in our house, and I would just go and sit at it. And I think my parents both were naturally gifted at music, so we were all singers. And when I was about 8 years old, I joined a brass band and played the cornet, and then went on to trumpet. And so we were always very musical. Always, all of us were involved. Playing instruments and singing. And when I was 15, 16, I joined an amateur dramatics group, and I sort of got lead parts in that. So I sang then, but then I started writing songs with a friend who became a Christian. I think I met her when I was about 16, and we used to write songs together. And I've written ever since, really.
Yeah.
Used my songs for family get-togethers, weddings. It's just sort of, and I've written, and sung in church as I've led worship. And I remember somebody prophesying over me once saying, "You sing God's heart." So I sort of, that was an encouragement to keep writing. But I think obviously bringing up children, I would go and do that for therapy, write songs for therapy, and also, they were, songs written from my faith journey, and I would send them often to people to encourage them if they were going through some situation. I would just send my songs, but I never really. A friend and I did do a CD once, but we didn't. I think because we were just having our children, we just didn't pursue it really. But people enjoyed our music, and I've written songs of my sister, and of late, my sister and I, a bit like my girls, while we were together, and my sister and I have started writing together. So over COVID, so I'm babbling on.
No, go for it.
I had a wonderful time to. We've converted our garage into a music studio, and I just sat and learned how to use the recording, Logic Pro, and able to record my harmonies on and just experiment with sounds, and it was just awesome for me to be able to do that and come up with something in time for Christmas. And so I just some people have sort of spoken over me over the years that my songs will bring deliverance to many people, and my sister the same. So it's interesting that God is bringing us two together right now to be able to move forward in this. So to see the deliverance of the Lord and the bringing down of strongholds in people's lives and in areas and nations, we just love to be part of that. And his kingdom, ushering his kingdom in.
I think God really looks at the motives of people's hearts, and I think that those that have got real pure motives behind the things that they do are the ones that God can use the most. I mean that goes right across the board, whether you want to write books or you're singing or you're preaching. I think if your motivation and your heart is in the right place, then that's when God can really use you.
Yes.
You must be so proud of your children, because your son plays for Exeter Football Club. Is it Exeter? And your girls are both professional musicians, and you've had a wedding in COVID as well, haven't you? Didn't one of the girls get married this year as well?
Yeah, Emily got married, and it was lovely. It wasn't quite the same, but it's lovely that they're together. And next year, hopefully, we're going to have a big celebration, and she'll wear her original dress that she bought them. Really.
Thank you ever so much for your time this evening, and for just sharing a bit about your career and your hopes and your vision for the coming year. I hope you have a fantastic Christmas.
Well, welcome back. Thank you, Louise, for taking time to do that interview with us. We love your song, by the way, we really do. Lots and lots of good comments about it from church last Sunday.
It was really brilliant.
Yeah. Now, some of you might know that Louise is the mum of two of the girls or 2/3 then of Wildwood Kin.
But she's also the auntie of the other girl that's in Wildwood Kin.
She is indeed. So a very, very musical family, very talented family.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Right, how are we doing with these mince pies then?
While you've been watching that, I've whisked up the egg white, and to a stage where you can sort of tip it above your head like that and not get snow-capped peaks, and then put some sugar in and whisk it up again, and that's ready to go.
Okay.
And you are?
Well, I finished making the dough. I forgot to tell you to put a pinch of salt in with the dough. I've let it rest for a little while as well, which will stop it shrinking around the edges, hopefully. But of course you can always buy pastry, which is what we should have done. But hindsight's always a good thing, isn't it? So anyway, I'm just going to put these in here now, and I'm going to blind bake them in the oven, because that will make them a little bit more crispy when the filling and the meringue goes on, because otherwise it'll make the dough soggy, not sowy, doughy, soggy. Anyway, so
carry on, you're doing great.
Thank you very much.
Really
whilst we are still
I don't think they noticed.
faffing around with this, here is a great interview that we did with Jared. Jared Cooper. He is from Hull, and he's a friend of ours, and so take a look at this interview.
Right, well, it's wonderful to have Jared with us this afternoon. So thank you ever so much, Jared. We really appreciate you taking time to speak to us this afternoon. Just in 10 seconds. Tell us a bit more about yourself.
My name's Jared. I lead a church in the north of England. I'm a songwriter. I grew up abroad, and I love Pringles. Will that do? Probably a bit more than 10 seconds, wasn't it, really? Who doesn't like Pringles, though, right? You've got to be weird if you
the sour
don't.
cream ones.
No, sour cream is the best.
Disgusting. Yeah. Oh, no.
They're the best. Just send me all your sour cream ones and...
Right, they're coming in the post your way. Right, we want to start off with some rapid fire questions for you. Okay. So I hope you're bracing yourself for this one.
It's either or.
Yeah, so you pick one, okay?
Right.
Morning person or night person?
Night person.
Tim Keller or Eugene Peterson?
Eugene Peterson.
Socks for a present or a tie for a present?
Socks.
Hot chocolate with marshmallows or coffee?
Coffee.
Dog person, cat person?
Oh, dog, definitely.
Computer literate or computer idiot?
Computer literate, probably. Yeah, not great, but yeah.
Contemporary worship, 1980s worship?
That's a cheeky one. 1980s. Much better.
Flip-flops
Rejoice. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, that was good. Flip-flops or sandals with socks?
Oh, flip-flops.
Yeah.
As soon as you said socks, that was over.
Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory, or Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Oh, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah.
The Message or the Passion Translation?
Oh, the Passion.
Glass half empty, glass half full?
Oh, half full every time.
Whitfield or Wesley?
Wesley.
Ketchup or brown sauce?
Ketchup.
Bethel or Jesus Culture?
Oh, wow. Well, that's putting a division between a house that comes from the same root. Oh, that's so cruel. I could never choose among the people of God, Bethel.
Okay.
Right.
Eggnog, mulled wine?
Mulled wine.
And Peter or Paul?
Oh, wow. That's really good. Never had that. Paul.
Okay, you passed. Well done.
I didn't know there was right or wrong to these.
Well, there you go. Cool. Right, so we're going to carry on drinking our tea in the middle of this. I hope you don't mind.
That's all right. I've got a mulled wine right here. Haven't really.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's a shame. Look, our first question to you is, what is one of the misconceptions that people have about you as a person and a pastor?
Oh, gosh. That I'm an extrovert, because I'm really not. I think if people heard me speak, and it's the same with a lot of, actors and comedians, that when people see someone on a stage, for instance, communicating, they think, oh, that person's an extrovert, because, there's energy in how they speak. They seem quite outgoing. Actually, I'm very introverted. I spend quite a lot of time on my own. I really need the recharging of being alone, and so I'm actually, while when I get up and speak, I try to engage the people I'm talking to, and I can find no other way to be actually away from communicating in that way. I'm fairly quiet and introverted.
Brilliant.
All right. How would your wife Victoria describe you?
Gorgeous, young, handsome. Is she ever going to see this?
Never.
Quite a catch, I think.
Yeah.
And a little bit forgetful, and wishing that I would put the bins out on time a bit more often. I think pretty well it.
Your turn.
What do you do in your spare time? I mean, do you get very much spare time at the moment? Really?
Well, it's strange, isn't it? I mean, tomorrow's my last day of work for the year. I'm actually on part-time furlough right now. So kind of 50-50. But then I've got other things that I do other than my job leading the church. But yeah, my hobbies are eating in restaurants. That's not going very well at the moment because we're in tier 3. So I'm well annoyed. Sitting in coffee shops, that's my other one. Are you kidding me? I'm playing squash. They're all closed. So yeah, taking walks in the country is pretty well the only thing left
Yeah.
that I can do.
And no skiing this year. You normally ski every year, don't you, as well? Is that
You,
right?
you know what? We haven't skied for 3 years now, I think it
Really?
is. And I'm desperate. The intention had been that we would go this winter. It would be miraculous, but you never know. But yeah, we often ski over Christmas. Actually, it's a good time to go skiing because I guess lots of people don't want to go skiing that week, so you can get out there fairly inexpensively. But no, we haven't skied for a few years now. But I am desperate to. I bought a new ski jacket, and that's kind of my psychological warfare against any powers that might be trying to stop me from getting on the slopes and enjoying myself.
All
Oh,
right.
okay.
Time is whizzing on, so we ought to do some harder questions, I think.
We should. Let's
Yeah.
really push it.
Yeah. Let's talk about what do you see as the role of prophecy in the church? Prophecy's taken a bit of a hit lately, one way and another, what with making predictions about the American election, which might not have come to pass. Perhaps there were some things said about COVID that never came to pass, or maybe did. Have we got prophecy wrong in the church?
I think number one, it's in most Western churches we have become very acclimatized to listening to and being led by teacher type people who are very clear. 3-point sermons, lifestyle stuff that you can really apply into your everyday, or note upon note theology. But if you read the Bible and if you read the prophetic books, Ezekiel, Daniel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, or even skip over to the New Testament, Revelation, and compare them to the teaching epistles, you will go, well, the prophets are like they're on drugs half the time. I mean, it's crazy. There's rivers, there's eagles, there's scrolls, there's all sorts of things flying around. Prophets are unusual. And so most Western churches are not very well equipped, even pastors, I would say, to understand or know how to put in place prophetic ministry. Prophecy isn't just foretelling. It's also forthtelling the will of God and the purposes of God, but it's also bringing power for change. So it encourages and builds and develops the church to be what it should be. Now, obviously, where it often gets its worst rap, I would say, is when you go into predictive prophecy rather than empowering prophecy. So, straight up, should Trump have had a second term or not? Well, I've done a little bit this with I have an online learning community called The Tribe, and we do a lot of prophetic training in it. And we've gone into why prophets get it wrong on things like this. I mean, as soon as you become very emotionally engaged in an issue, for instance, if you've already visited the White House, you've been there, you now have a personal investment, it's very easy for those lines between emotion, personal investment and preference, and God to become quite a blurred thing. And so it's very easy for emotion. And even if you feel passionately about your nation, sometimes we can get a little bit mixed up between political issues and then the will of God. I mean, I think people are amazed even today that when Jesus turned up, he didn't deal with the politics of the Roman occupation much. In fact, I do a whole series of teaching on how God used the Roman occupation to accelerate the move of the gospel in the early church. And so a negative political situation which was traumatic and tragic, was actually used by God to propel the gospel further. And you'll often find that God's men and women are next to the seat of power, not always in the seat of power. It's Daniel, it's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, it's Joseph. And so it's a very complex area to try and prophesy into. And I really admire those prophets that went for it, but have willingly gone, you know what, think we got that wrong, and let's just come clean and say that. On the COVID issue, similarly, with prophecy, we all prophesy in part. In other words, you're going to get parts right and parts wrong. And some of what has come out, for instance, one of them was that we would be in the peak of a plague during Passover, was for about 15 or 16 countries at least highly accurate. Whether some went on to prophesy that it would end by Passover, that's a very different thing. I haven't heard those prophecies, but I think they have been said. But that never, I did a whole series of stuff with about 15 prophets in May, and none of them were saying that, other than that there would, they'd prophesied historically that there would be a peak of plague over Passover. And but prophecy's messy. It's not teaching. We want people to go, okay, in 3 easy steps, tell us what's going to happen. And actually, when a prophet turns around and starts talking about doves and fires and trumpets and tidal waves, you go, no, please talk in English. But read the prophetic books in the Bible. They're not teachers, so we've got to learn to interpret them better and to fit them around other wisdom too,
Yeah.
Difficult one, complex, even now.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You've got a new book out at the moment, haven't you? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm just finishing it. It's called The Divine Reset, and it's because I believe in this season of tragedy in the world. Remember Joseph saying to his brothers, what you meant for harm, God has turned for good, or meant for good. And so I believe in this difficult, tragic circumstance that I don't believe has been sent by God, but, you could argue with that, I suppose. That's fine. But I actually believe God's been using it as a great, it's been the most prophetic year I've ever had in my life. It's been a pit stop, I think, for the church. I had a vision very early on in the pandemic of a vehicle coming into a pit stop, an old wheel being taken off and a new wheel being put on. And there was a pause that was going to lead to acceleration, is the message that came out of that. And I believe the church and individuals should have paused, be still and know that I'm God. It literally means down tools and pause for a minute and reconnect with the fact that I'm God. And to say it in short terms, I think God is resetting the church. We're going to find as we go into 2021 that there are whole new course adjustments that are coming to the church, things that we need to let go of. I had a dream just 3 nights ago, and we're just kind of releasing this at the moment on social media. And in the dream, I was in a large church service and I was about to announce the guest speaker, and suddenly there's hundreds of people in the room, but they rushed out the back door, and I turned to a leader next to me saying, where are they going? I'm about to introduce the guest speaker. And he said, they are so desperate to preach the gospel on the streets, they're going now.
Wow.
And so my plans were completely mucked up, and I think that is what's about to happen for loads of church leaders. It's happened already, but let's not think that 2021 is going to be going back to normal. I think we are going forward into a new reset season with God, and there's major course corrections. He's dealing with mission drift. He's dealing with impurity, ego, disunity, and there's a new collaboration, a new innovation is going to rise in the church. But the driving force of the church, I believe, is going to be for 2 things. Number 1, a genuine encounter with God. And so we're going to find prayer rooms begin to take over from just thinking it's all about Sunday services. There's going to be a sense of really going into a God encounter. But the second one is going to be genuine deployment for harvest and kingdom. People want to get out and do the real stuff and stop messing about playing at church with our little pet projects. We want to get out and transform places. And I think a lot of leaders will stand like me on that platform in my dream, half irritated that my plans have just been wrecked on the rocks of God's purposes, but then also joy that something is rising in the church, and it's kind of like the body is taking over from the platform. And that's what I believe is going to happen in this season. And so as leaders, I think we face a choice. And so my book, The Divine Reset, is all about how do you pivot your own heart for your own life to enter God's new era. Lots of prophets have been talking about it being a new era. In January this year, Dr. Sharon Stone was with us, with our church. We just got 150 of our leaders together in a hotel and said, prophesy, personally, corporately, whatever. And she prophesied, one, that we're coming into a new era, which is something I've been saying for about a year. And then number 2, she said, but before we enter the new era, there's going to be a short pause. This was in January. Then she also said, you know what, 2020 is going to be all about the new normal. That was in January, right? Wow. So God is all over this time for the church and using it to build something new. And the book takes you, through the major prophetic words, things that God is doing, and how to pivot your heart, how to pivot your leadership, and how to change and position your church to enter the new era. And there's going to be journal space in it, group discussion guides, leadership team discussion guides, all in there, so that you can pivot your life and your leadership ready for the new era. And so I've got lots of stuff that I've been going through in there, because it's been a massive season of change.
Brilliant. That's
wow.
awesome.
Well, I was going to ask what you saw next for the church in the UK, but you've just answered that. So thank you so much. That's 2 questions in one. 2 for the price of 1 there.
Come on.
I think we're going to have to bring this to an end.
We are.
Now,
Thank you ever so much, Jared, for your time. I know you're a busy guy and you've got loads on, but thank you so much. It's
just great to see you guys, to see you doing well. And I just pray that you, your family, your church will be so blessed in 2021. We just all, let's stick close to God, and it's going to be a great adventure.
Okay.
Thank you, Jared. Bye.
Bless you guys. Bye. Great to see you.
Bye.
Well, thank you, Jared. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for that. And we hope you have a really good Christmas. And maybe we'll see you next year. Who knows?
Face to face in 2021 would be brilliant. Okay, so let's finish these things off so we can eat them.
Let's do that.
The pastry cases have been blind baked. I'm going to add the mincemeat, which is homemade. No, it's not. It's straight out of a jar. But if you want to get really flash and do everything homemade, that would be pretty awesome. So if I start over there, and you're going to do the meringue bit.
How much?
I have no clue. We're winging it here, right? Okay. So if we keep filling these, that's a thing of beauty. But how much worse can it? It can't get uglier than the pastry. That's fine, babe. We're brilliant at this. We always cook together, don't we? No.
No. You might have seen I look like a fish out of water in the kitchen.
I think you're doing marvellously well. You're a good cook. I'm the one that can't bake a cake to save a life.
Yeah, Tom's the cake man in our house.
He is.
Yeah.
Right, whilst we do this, we're going to pop them back in the oven for another 15 minutes, and then we are going to go and stuff our faces with them in the lounge with a nice cup of tea, and we are going to give you some book and film reviews and things that you can watch over the festive period. So we'll see you in a minute.
Right, welcome back to the bit that we've been waiting for.
Yes, we have successfully made a whole plate of meringue top mince pies. They look pretty good. The eagle-eyed amongst you will notice there's only 11 on the plate, not 12.
What happened?
Because John had to try it. Absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, there we go.
And be honest, they turned out a lot better than you thought they were going to.
Yeah, we thought we were going to have to go and get Mr. Kipling box out and just go, look what we made. But they are fabulous. So we'll eat them in a minute, shall we?
We will. But before that, a few reviews.
Yes. Right, so we've been looking at the TV pages actually for finding out what's on this Christmas. And the first film that I'm actually excited about watching is Ben-Hur. Now, it's not the original one with Charlton Heston, it's a remake. And often remakes aren't as good as the original, but this one, I really love it. I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Didn't we see that at the cinema?
Possibly,
Or was it on?
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that is on. Let me just reach down and get it. That is going to be on Christmas Eve. So when you finish peeling a 300 sprouts and you sort of want to sit down for a little while,
just
get yourself a glass of sherry. And hang on a mo, I will let you know it is on Channel 5 at 3:05 in the afternoon. So that is perfect. You could possibly sit down for a late lunch then, can you, with a sandwich and a cup of tea and just enjoy Ben-Hur. Great film, really love that one. So, what about you?
Just the one film. I thought I'd actually review some apps that you can get for your phone. If you've got a bit of time this Christmas and you've got a smartphone, or perhaps you've just been given a smartphone for Christmas, what good Christian apps are out there? Well, the first one to start with is YouVersion. It's the Bible online, and with it, completely free, you get just about every version of the Bible you could possibly ever want on this. Some are free to download, some you might have to pay for, but there's so many that are free to download. So you can have the Bible on your phone.
So what's it called? What's the app?
YouVersion.
YouVersion. Is that you or is that
No,
YOU?
YOU.
Okay, that's really
YouVersion.
good.
Brilliant one.
Ready?
So let me go with another one because I've got several to do. Prayer apps. There's loads of prayer apps out there if you want a bit of help with your prayer life, but one that I like is Lectio 365, and it's sort of a
Wow.
daily devotional, but with some guided prayer and some time for pause and reflection during it as well. So it's something you can download. It's called Lectio 365. It's done by Pete Gregg and the 24/7 prayer movement, and it's really good to help you in the daily discipline of prayer and also a bit of Bible study too.
Okay. Right, well, the other film that I'm definitely going to make every effort to see this Christmas is on Boxing Day, because I don't think we're really going to get to see very much Christmas Day because it's just too busy, isn't it? But it is the Guernsey Literary and Potato Pie Society film. Really loved it.
Now, we definitely saw that at the cinema.
We
didn't
definitely saw that
Yeah.
at the cinema. It's a little bit different and it's romantic. It's got a gorgeous story. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but we thoroughly enjoyed it. I tell you what I did notice about this TV magazine. Here, I bought the What's on TV, and it has got ratings on every film for sex, violence and language, and it gives you stars. So you can tell every film that you're going to watch what's in it, which I think is really, really good.
Useful, very useful, yeah, because you never
So-
quite know these days.
That's right.
With a 12, it can be pretty.
I know, you've got to be a bit picky. So the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society film is on BBC Two at 20 to 7. So I'm going to be sat down watching that and chilling out a little bit on Boxing Day.
Can I have a film?
Yeah.
Paddington 2.
Oh no.
Paddington 2. Paddington and Paddington 2 are great films. And Paddington 2 I saw was on Christmas Eve.
Oh, is it?
So it's a great movie.
Okay.
And there's one other, The Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh yeah, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
That is really good. Do you know
Yeah.
when that's on?
That's on the Wednesday between Christmas and New Year. And it's on
Okay.
late at night on one of the channels. But
That is really alternative. It's slightly quirky and a bit sort of
Yeah.
off the wall.
it's a Taika Waititi film. And he does some great films. Yeah, definitely different.
Yeah, but you will like it. Even I like that one, and we don't usually agree on films, do we?
Really? Really?
Okay, so what else are you recommending?
More apps. Just one more app. Just a daily reflection, a daily Bible study. There's Our Daily Bread. Is an app for the phone, so you can download that, and rather than getting the book, you can get the app every day. And let me do one book as well.
Oh, go on then.
Unleashed by Gavin and Anne Calver. Absolutely brilliant book. If you would like to be more like the New Testament church, they have written a book that really is challenging and insightful, and I think very, very relevant to where we are today, actually.
Okay.
It wasn't written with COVID in mind. It was designed to be the book that was used at Spring Harvest last year, and of course Spring
Okay.
Harvest didn't go ahead.
Yeah.
So they've probably got shed loads of them in somewhere. But that doesn't matter. It's a great book. Buy it and read it.
Brilliant. Okay, and finally, I'm not sure if this is a good thing or not, but Pot Noodle are launching Christmas dinner in a pot. I think it sounds horrendous, but apparently it's turkey and all the trimmings in one delicious mouthful. And for every pot that is bought, 2p goes towards providing telephone calls for people in military service so they can phone home at Christmas and speak to their families. So even if you don't eat the pot noodle, perhaps you'd like to buy one and donate 2p towards telephone calls. But
Or better still,
yeah,
give them £1 and don't buy the pot noodle.
yeah, you could do that, I suppose. But it's a really good initiative by the RAF. Squadron leader Stuart Balfour is promoting this as well, and he says it will help people keep in touch with their families because 2020 has been such a hard year for everyone. So if you don't fancy peeling sprouts and roasting that turkey till it's well and truly dried out, you could just go and buy yourself a pot noodle and sit
What-
down and enjoy all the movies on Christmas
It might
Day.
be useful to have one on standby. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Just in case.
I know. Anyway, this is the last one we're doing before Christmas now. So hopefully we will see you in the new year. We'll give you more information about that.
Indeed, but until then, happy Christmas. And I think we
Yes.
can finally.
We can try these yummy mince pies. Okay, happy Christmas, everybody, and we will see you in the new year. God bless.
God bless. Bye.